Hey folks, it's Ask a Flower Farmer Wednesday. It's Lisa Mason Ziegler coming to you here from our fulfillment center where we're just having tons of fun today. We have lots of great new surprises coming in and I can't wait to share them with you here in just a minute. So the way this works is every Wednesday at 11:30 Eastern Time, I come to you right here on Instagram, and for 30 minutes, I do my best to answer as many questions as we have submitted. And remember, if you're one of our students, of any of our online courses, we just love it when you comment using the sunflower emoji, because that identifies you not only to me, but to your peers and classmates that you're one of our online student from our courses. So we love it when we do that. And hello, Blue River Blooms. And so today so if you want to post your questions, remember to post them down in the little bubble with the question mark. And that way I don't have to scroll through all the comments and perhaps miss your question if you post it in the questions down below. And so I have a couple things I want to show you first. So let's take a look at what just came in yesterday. And I can't wait for y'all to see it. So, we've been adding lots of swag. And so this is the front of the shirt, which is cute enough, right? It's got our logo on it. But wait till you see what's on the back, y'all. I'll have to back up a little bit so you can see it. Can y'all see this? It says Flower Farmer, what does it say? The Flower Farmer Crew. And so that is, if you can guess which one is Babs's feet. It's Babs, me, Babs, me, Kelly, Bobo, and Suzanne. This was taken several years ago, and we just love this image. We used to do a lot of images taken hat hair, several of us lined up, and this turned out to be one of our most special. So you'll find this on our website, thegardenersworkshop.com, $20, y'all. So it's super soft. We really, really love it. And I hope we're doing kind of a test. So y'all show the love if you want one, because we're trying to decide if we are going to continue carrying this kind of swag, as well as, y'all, I'm telling you, this is our tote. It's $20 too. I carry this thing back and forth. My computer case is in here and my handy dandy business book. So just wanted to share that out of the gate with you guys. So no questions, huh? All right, no questions yet. So I guess everybody has their cool flowers all wrapped up. I was out looking at ours this morning, and our direct seeded stuff is the best ever this year. So we are, I use my garden stand-up hoe to hoe between the open space between the rows of where the direct seeded little seedlings are. But then we do some in-row weeding, and we do that by hand. I don't do any thinning in this time of the year. We wait until very early spring to actually do that. And so I guess today is Wednesday. So Monday, Bobo and Christine started our little hand weeding, and they really look awesome. I was looking at, we have the best stand of the giant poppy pods. I don't know if you guys have grown those before. It is the strongest germinating poppy seed that I've ever planted. And once you get the giant poppy pods in your garden, then you save the seed. The pods are huge. I mean, some of them are as big or bigger than my fist. And once you start growing it, it is an excellent fresh cut, the green pod. I mean, designers and florists love them. But once you start growing them, then you just save your own seed. It's super easy to do. Y'all, I'm barely dressed here, right? We were just trying on new jackets and coats, and we just got our Land's End business. That's where we buy all this stuff. Y'all always see me all, branded up. Well, that's because we use Land's End Business. It's different. It's part of the Land's End, but it's a whole different website. And they do your embroidery. Anyway, that's one of the gifts that I give our team every fall is new jackets, shirts, coats. And they're in there all trying them all on. So they've all disappeared. So anyway, so the giant poppy pods are like totally awesome. And ours look so great because, we grow them for production of the seed. That's one of the only things we actually save seeds on. And we have several beds and we had excellent germination. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm really excited about once we get our pathways all squared away. I just can't wait for y'all to see the beds. I mean, the transplants this is the best fall that we have had in years. It is just really, really significant to have this cooperative weather, right? So I'm super excited about cool flowers. So let's see. All of a sudden now we have 10 questions. Okay, so Mama Hannah says, help with hardening off. So I have 2 different methods of hardening off. One is for warm season, which we're not going to necessarily talk about right now. Although I guess I should because you might be in Australia, right? So for warm season tender annuals, definitely the process is longer than cool season because you really have to get those plants really firmed up before you put them out into that heat, no matter what you plant them into. So we bump them out of our grow room typically when they're about 2 to 3 inches tall to get them out onto our carport. And on the carport, they're protected from direct rain. They get sun from early morning and then again in late afternoon. And they have a partial windbreak around them. And that just really gets them firmed up. I really love for my warm season stuff to sit there for at least 10 days. It just makes them more acclimated and one less struggle they have to face. Cool season is not quite so difficult. Those little cool season hardy annual plants can face the cool to cold temperatures much, much easier than than the warm season and heat. Heat is just harder on the plants, even though we feel like it's probably the opposite of that. So when for cool flowers, we do the very same process, bump them out into the carport when they're, 2 to 3 to 4 inches tall. And then it's just really great if they can sit there for at least 3 to 5 days. And then if you still have questions whether they're hardened off enough, you could also go ahead and just put your hoops and row cover up and monitor for temperatures if you're having warm days. But a hoop and row cover really provides the perfect growing environment if it doesn't get too hot. It's blocking the wind. The wind is the big problem, y'all. So hope that helps you. All right. For direct seeded cool flowers, do you thin them now before the winter or wait until till spring? No, I definitely do not thin at this time of the year. We just keep them well weeded by hoeing weekly, and then doing what Bobo and Christine did on Monday is probably the only time that's going to have to be done. We wait until the weeds are about this big so they're easy to grab, and that also is like now later into the season. We will start thinning those plantings of direct seeded stuff in what we consider very early spring. When the day, like your afternoons are starting to get warm and you look under the covers, if you have them covered, and they're starting to grow a little bit, or you see sprouts, that means they're actively starting to grow. That's when I would thin, and that is also when I pinch anything that I want to pinch. Why is it recommended to remove row cover for snowfall? Won't the plants just get crushed without the cover too? The cover doesn't really crush them as much as it does smother them. So there's not the air transfer once the snow is on top of the covers. I've had it happen firsthand. I've had beds that we got 6 to 7. I think we probably got more like 8 or 9 inches of snow. This was actually the year that Babs died. And I remember this because she died in January. And the snow storm was happening while we had to rush her to the doctor. And so not all the covers got taken down on the beds. The beds that got direct snow did beautifully. They were protected. They had no troubles. The snow doesn't crush it. It encases them. The beds that didn't get the row cover pushed off of it in the emergency of things were mush underneath. So you do not want to leave row cover up when snow is coming, or ice for that fact. Will you be selling, and oh my goodness, will you be selling amaryllis and paper whites? We wished we were. We've had our order placed since, like February or March, and they couldn't get them to us in time. So, no, I am very sad to say that we do not have our paper whites and amaryllis. It's a big hit for us. And so we just found that out last week. I think we announced it in our newsletter to folks, because that's a really big kind of annual thing for us. So I would recommend that you check out petalpickers.com. That's Daniel. He's selling good size bulbs, as well as Three Toads Farm from Val. Val's the one that did our course on those. And she is also selling them, and I believe she's shipping them. So check the two of those out. And nobody is more sorrier than we are about that. Hey, Lisa, I've seen some posts of y'all still starting cool flowers up there in Virginia. Down here in 8B, can I technically keep starting and transplanting during all of our mild winters? I'm a little behind on blocking up some varieties. So that is a great question, Red, White, and Bloom. What a cute name. And so, yes, for sure. So the challenge I'm 7B/8A. And you're 8B. So the challenge for us is we can just continue planting right now. I mean, that's why I've often said that November is my catch-up month. That's the month that I'm sowing seeds that we either had a failure for whatever reason, or we missed it, forgot to do that particular variety. And so that's what you see us growing right now. And really, we could just keep on starting seeds here where I am. We could keep doing it, but we technically just don't do it in December. We take that month off. However, the challenge for those of us that live in 8 and 9 is we might as well just stop planting once we start creeping into very early spring. Because we don't typically have really great springs, we go right from winter like questioning winter like weather to hot. So we don't have that whole nice long spring thing. So that's why I don't replant some cool flowers in what's considered very early spring. They just don't have enough time to get established and grow tall before the heat and humidity takes them out. So the answer to your question is yes, and I would stop planting probably sometime in January. So you have plenty of time, is the moral to that long story. I read your book, but I don't think I saw Status as a cool flower. Would it be a cool season flower? Yes, so Status is one of those cool flowers that we were experimenting with when Cool Flowers was actually, had already been published. And if you want to see, there are more. And if you want to see what cool flowers I'm growing in addition to what's in the book, just go to our seed category on thegardenersworkshop.com, go to seeds, and go to the cool season. And anything you see in that list is a cool flower, and there are several that are not included in cool flowers because I had not been growing them enough to include them in my book yet. I've got my transplants outside and they look great. If they're winter hardy in my zone, should I still cover? That is just a great question. So you do not. Can anybody hear me? Yeah. Somebody bring me some water, please. My cup is on my desk. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting parched. Allergies raging. So the reason that we use cool flowers with a row cover is I typically only grow what's winter hardy in my zone, meaning my cool flowers do not need winter cold protection from row cover. Row cover ramps up the quality of your plants, gets them to start blooming a little bit earlier. The foliage is in much better shape. I mean, thank you so much. It just keeps your plants in better shape. And also during that time when you might have that rogue warm day and you've got them row covered, your plants are growing a little bit more. I mean, I really attribute my great success with Cool Flowers and just tons of blooms and abundance is because we row cover just to provide protection from the wind, take advantage of bright sunshine in the winter, and then also it keeps the deer, squirrels, and rabbits, which are very, very problematic for us in the wintertime. Basic questions. Learning there's a big difference between frost and temperatures cold enough to freeze. Could you talk about the conditions for frost and if there's a local forecast for frost that you might use? So the big difference between frost and temperature and temps cold enough to freeze. A frost is when you look out there in the morning and there's little ice particles out there on your vegetation, and you don't always get that when it's really, really cold. So I really can't answer that in depth, not here today. So that is something that definitely would be a deeper question to actually answer. But you can definitely get freeze damage without frost, right? So that's just a very deep subject. Sorry about that. Do you continue to fertilize Cool Flowers over the winter? No. So when we, all of our beds are prepared, we use our fertilizer that's here somewhere. We sell the same fertilizer that we use, which is a chicken-based litter processed fertilizer. That is incorporated into the soil whenever we prepare beds. So plants are liquid fertilized in the trays until they get out there. And we do even direct seed into beds with this fertilizer because it's organic, which means it's not really super high nitrogen, and it's a slow moving fertilizer. We don't worry about that interrupting. Thank you. Oh, here you go. So here it is. So this is 543, and this is a 4-pound bag, y'all. And then we also sell it in the 10-pound bag. And this is the same stuff that we use. And this is 543. And so we add this to all of our beds when we prepare it. Every time we prepare a bed, this gets put in it. And the recommended rate is 3 pounds, which is approximately 7.5 cups. We write that right on there for you, per 100 square feet. So it's a really cut and dry, simple figure out, right? So that's in the soil, and then we plant or either we direct sow. So that takes care of anything, for in the fall. In winter, everything pretty much goes dormant. So you don't really need anything to feed. Then in very early spring, once growth starts again, we typically just still don't really do a lot of fertilizing early in the season, but it is wonderful to apply the liquid fertilizer either through a soil drench where you're pouring it on, or either through your irrigation with the seaweed fish. But that'll carry you through. And that also really depends on how fertile your soil is. Our soil is in pretty good shape, so we don't worry quite so much about it. Do you row cover new perennials? So I typically don't really grow many perennials because I'm a small space farmer, which means we need the biggest bang for our buck, which is annuals. So perennials would be in the same boat as Cool Flowers, though. First off, anything that's a perennial in your region or your zone, you should really plant in the fall. And it certainly would be beneficial to them to row cover them that first year as they're becoming established. It just revs them up for an earlier, better start the following spring, right? I don't know why my dog is barking. I'm in 7A and I have planted my cool flower seeds outdoors. They have sprouted. Hooray! Do I need to cover them? If so, with what? So, Ann Snyder, that would basically depend on, stand by, y'all. You got him? Yeah. Make him go in the room. I think he's just a little disturbed. They're packaging hoops back there, and that noise is just a little freaky. Sorry, y'all. The reality of being at business when we do this. So, the question is, are those seeds that you planted winter hardy in your zone? And it's the same thing we just talked about earlier. It's not required if they are. They don't need cold protection, but they benefit from all the other protection that hoops and row covers provide, like blocking the wind and concentrating the winter sun. Do you grow tulip bulbs or other spring bulbs? Any tips? I do not. I have certainly grown tulips way back when, and lots of other spring bulbs, and they weren't my wheelhouse. For a lot of reasons, I can make a lot more money growing annuals, and that's a big topic of discussion we could talk about for a long time. But I would definitely recommend, if you're looking for tips, you have got to go listen to Dave Dowling and Jenny Love's podcast. It's on the no-till flowers, and it's got tulips in the title, and Dave Dowling's on there. It'll change the way you're planting and the way you think about it. The biggest problem with tulips is you would never grow tulips without having a cooler and a boatload of customers ready and waiting very early in the season. And so, because it's expensive to invest in them, so you've really got to have your plan mapped out. I planted lots of cool flower seeds and experienced dampening off, I would imagine. Could you talk about this? So if you're talking about seeds starting indoors, I would guess dampening off is a fungus, and typically you find that happening when the soil is too cool. It's definitely related to conditions. So I would guess that maybe your conditions are too cool, but I would need to know, you are talking about indoors and what actually steps. I mean, did you use a seedling heat mat? That basically about 100% prevents dampening off when you warm the soil and get them off to that great start. Any other foliage recommendations besides Bupleurum? Atriplex. I'm just thinking. Yeah, I can't think of any others right now. Sorry, y'all. This head thing has got me going. There's a lot of fillers. Almost many of the cool flowers are actually great fillers. The big problem that we face usually is more focal flowers in very early spring. That's why we have gotten sunflowers into the mix of getting them out there really, really early. But Bupleurum, Bells of Ireland, yarrow, there's just a whole lot of just great filler foliage type plants. Atriplex. What do the cool flowers look like after the hard frost? 27 degrees in Oregon. They shouldn't look any different than they did before the hard frost if they're winter hardy for you. So I don't know if you are probably zone 7, I would guess, or maybe 6. And if you're growing stuff, I mean, part of the thing about cool flowers that it's hard for us to really wrap our heads around is that they are cool and cold hardy. That means frost and freeze does not damage them like it would a tender annual. So, when I go out and look at I can remember years ago before I learned about the benefits of using row cover, I can remember going out and seeing snapdragons, and they literally look like little popsicles. They were frozen solid. And I thought, they're going to be goners. Well, guess what? I mean, they look great after the frost is melted or gone. And that's the thing that we just have such a hard time. If you are growing what is winter hardy in your zone, you don't have to really worry about cold temperatures. It's all the other winter conditions that can cause a problem if you have a lot of wind. And that wind whipping, you have to have excellent drainage. So those are the things that typically are more damaging, but most people pay the most attention to the temps when there's just other things that are more of a problem, I would say. I remember you saying something once about succession planting, even for vegetables. Do you plant vegetables twice a month apart or other schedule? I'd like to do this to boost my vegetable production as well. Words of experience. Vegetables can fall right in line the same way that flowers do. I would recommend, I cannot remember, my good friend, Nikki Jabbour, Nikki, N-I-K-I, Jabbour, J-A-B-B-O-U-R. She has written like 9 books. She is in Nova Scotia, and she is an incredible vegetable gardener. And she has a book about a lot. Everything you can imagine for vegetables. One of them is about succession planting. And she just does a great job. I would recommend following her she does great postings. And she just had a book come out. I think she has a year-round vegetable gardening book, is the one that I would definitely start with. Just ordered everything. I just took your online seed starting course. You mentioned starting everything on a heat mat and then move to light. If seeds require light, do you put under light before signs of germination? That is such a great question. So what that means if your seed packet or the directions say seed needs light to germinate, that just means regular room light. That does not mean a grow light. You don't want to put your seeds under a warm grow light and a heat mat underneath, because you'll actually just toast them. They'll just never probably germinate. So that just means that you sow the seed on the surface firmly of your block or your whatever you're starting seeds in. And then when they need darkness, you push it deeper into the soil to create cover that covers it. So good for you. Good luck with that. Also, when you row covering, you only do this when temperatures reach below what temperature? So we put our covers up when it starts to dip between 25 and 28 degrees. That's kind of my mark that when we start having those kind of nighttime temperatures, that means our days are cool too. It's like when we get to that, we're usually kind of into winter. So I put them up when we go to 25 to 28 or so. And then if the days start climbing up to 55 degrees or higher, those covers have to come back down. You don't want to overheat the plants to encourage them to grow more during the winter than like that. You don't want them to get really big because they'll never be able to face really tough winter conditions as a large plant. You want a small, compact, super healthy, well-established transplant. And that's what cold temperatures with a hoop and row cover do for cool flowers. Question, planted. So I'm not sure what that was referencing to. Sorry. Can Feverfew be planted with other flowers? Yes. So people often ask me about this. In the book Cool Flowers, I reference that Feverfew, that pollinators don't like it. And, I got that from a really great reference. A documented reference. But I found that not to really be in action true. My Feverfew is covered with pollinators. Everybody seems to love it, and it doesn't seem to affect other flowers. So have your way with Feverfew. We actually grow all 5 of the varieties you find on our website. We grow them all because they all have a little bit different look, and absolutely adore Feverfew. If you're doing wedding work or selling to people that do wedding work, Feverfew is priceless. And I would definitely fall plant and then very early spring plant it. You want to succession plant that as much as you could. As reasons why not to put down a little straw in the cool flower rows. We've used straw as mulch. What you need to be cautious about is what's on the straw. Now that there are so many systemic herbicides, which means it's in the plants and it stays in the whole process. I mean, even sometimes cows and horses that eat hay or straw that have herbicides on them, their manure has the herbicide in it. So that's why I don't use straw anymore. Unless you have an organic grower or you know the grower and they'll say to you they don't use anything, but you have a hard time finding a person that does that unless they're specifically organic. All right, y'all, one more question. It's 12 o'clock. How deep should hoops be put into the ground? I'm using bent metal conduit and having the hardest time getting them deep enough in the ground. That is why we use wire. I mean, it is really a challenge because you have to put a lot of hoops down, right? That's why our hoops, I think, are like the number 9 wire, because you need the hoops to go deep enough in the ground that they're not wobbling back and forth. I would guess and say 6 to 9 inches. And we used to use way back when, my husband owns a plumbing company. And so they had flexible, it's called PEX, PVC pipe that comes in a roll. It's not hard PVC, it's the soft kind. And he had a bunch of it available. So I was using that and would cut, an angle on each end and push it into the ground. And I just can't, that's why we moved to wire. I mean, even wearing good gripping gloves, like the Nitrile Touch gloves, where you can really grip it and push, it's a challenge, especially if it's at all dry outside. So you really want them to go down deep. So friends, we're out of time today. Please come back next week and get here early with your questions. And y'all just don't even forget. I don't know how many we got, but there's only about 2 or 3 boxes of these over there. We have small. Is it to extra large, Rhonda? Yeah. Small to extra large. This is just a great flower farming. Got our logo on the front, and it's got all of our legs that definitely need moisturizing according to this. But anyway, it's pretty funny, y'all. We would love to see people in this. So let's see. This coming weekend is open enrollment. It's for our last enrollment this year. It is Steve and Gretel of Sunny Meadows Flower Farm. If you are not following them, you need to. They are doing some video tours in their hoop houses and greenhouses and their dried wreaths they're in. Oh my gosh, their barn is full of dried flowers. Anyway, they teach growing cut flowers in hoop and greenhouses. And it is an amazing course. If you have a house or if you're even thinking about having a house, you've got to take their course. I'll say that hands down. The course is $600 and you will gain that money back in a nanosecond. This course is so packed from everything from where to locate it, what kind to buy, where to buy it, how to schedule it, what you should put in it, what you shouldn't put in it, how you maintain it, pest and disease control, venting, maintaining. I mean, it is really, it's just a great, great course. And as our other big courses, it only enrolls once a year for 5 days. It opens on Friday. So be sure you head over to thegardenersworkshop.com, get on their wait list. Just go to their page. You can see the syllabus is there, tells you everything that's included. Podcast will go live tomorrow morning, my podcast, Field and Garden, of Steve and Gretel and I going through their syllabus. They are great teachers, y'all. And they are super smart, savvy. They're a young couple. When I say young, they're in their 30s. That is really young when you're 60 like me. But they've been doing this. They have 18 plus houses. They are producing a ton of flowers. They have a huge team. And so you will learn everything. I mean, they have a session on ranunculus and anemones and tulips and dahlias. And I mean, it's just a great course. And we would love for you to take it. The class doesn't start until January. It runs 6 weeks. You get a live Q&A with them every week while the course is open and going. And remember, all of our courses, you have lifetime access. You have contact with your instructors even after the school is over through our optional closed Facebook group. And friends, I'm telling you, It's the best thing ever. And, we have been told that even people that don't have houses would benefit from their plan. And Steve and Gretel, this is their livelihood. They have such planning information about succession, and it would be helpful for anybody. So I highly recommend their course. And don't forget that this Saturday I'm having a live shopping show over on Facebook from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. If you want to we'll have some deals going on. But if you want to get your Christmas shopping, I'll show you our favorite Christmas presents that we always just sell a lot of them at Christmas time. Great stocking stuffers. And who doesn't love gardening, y'all? They should. Let's help them love gardening. So Facebook this Saturday, 10 a.m. over on my farm page. And friends, I'll see you again soon. And I keep remembering things. This Friday on my Facebook Live at 6, I'm interviewing one of Gretel and Steve's students. And we just got a lot of live stuff going on. If you sign up for our newsletter, we'll keep you abreast, because I'm actually going to be on Steve and Gretel's Instagram on Friday at 11, I think. And I know it's very complicated, y'all. But we still get overcome with people that say, I didn't know about the course. They want to sign up late, and we just aren't able to do that. So spread the word, y'all. Till we meet again. Ciao.